Hey there, this is Patrick with Dallas Hockey Hangout, coming to you after a wild barn burner Stars 6-5 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. And yeah, look, I'll probably give more detail and perspective on a game that didn't mean anything. But if this game had meant something, or if this game had been in the middle of the regular season, I think I'd be pretty geeked up about how the game turned out because, I mean, it's just pretty rare you erase multi separate multiple goal different, holes and come back and win a game. And Dallas did so down 0-3 and then down 5-3 and then still found a way to win in regulation. Not that that mattered, but look, Toronto's a rebuilding team, and obviously they lost Austin Matthews. They've traded away Mitch Marner, or rather let him go in free agency. And yeah, I mean, I had pretty high expectations for this game for Dallas, given that Toronto, much like the Rangers, New York Rangers, Toronto's been out of it for a while now. And while they are, they say, those types of teams can be dangerous because they don't have the pressure. I think probably Toronto might be in that qualify them as not having any pressure because of it being in Toronto and all the crazy media, the New York Yankees of hockey. And when things aren't going well, it's tough up there. But needless to say, this was indicative of their type of season. I was curious if I was going to have to pronounce his Akhtamov. I hope I did that close. But yeah, he had gotten shelled the previous game in his first game of his career, if I'm not mistaken. And let's see here, I'll give you the stats on that. Yeah, against the Islanders, he gave up, or he had to go against 44 shots. He made 39 saves, which is still pretty good in my opinion, but to the save percentage of 886, like if you hadn't seen the game, like I'm sure, you'd probably judge that number pretty harshly. He made 27 of 32 this game. Not sure I felt like, I mean, he made some good saves, but nothing jaw dropping, at least. That came to mind. So anyways, let's just launch into how should we be viewing this team? And look, I am starting to get sad that the regular season is ending, and you can only do tests and evaluations for so long before you have to see the real thing. And obviously Dallas knows they have home ice against Minnesota, and them beating Minnesota the way they did a few games ago, that was really a clutch win. Just to be able to have that like positive, source of information that the Stars can go to very recently and take that into the playoffs, I think that's really important. Also, I did hear really interesting that note from Gulleton, them saying that they've been preparing for Minnesota for a month now. Curious as to what that means, whether or not that they've just been rolling lines and defensive pairs, because in the past while a lot of lines have changed. Part of that has been because they brought Mikko Rantanen back into the fold. They're getting injured guys back, and so that's changing stuff. But it does seem clear to me that they have been just trying stuff out. And yeah, if there are going to be games in which, or periods in this case, because like the third period or first was just a train wreck, and they made some changes. So I think you're just going to see that against Buffalo, and the fact that Dallas was able to tinker and still win the game is a testament to their talent. Because if you look at these two teams talent wise, there's pretty much no reason why Dallas should have lost this game, even with they're playing a backup and whatever. But Dallas has won 4 in a row, and that's a far cry from losing 7 straight like they did last year. Obviously, we didn't want to see that, but it was nice to know that if, because like how that 7 straight losses panned out last year, well, Dallas was giving guys rest, and they'd had injury issues, and obviously Miro wasn't playing, and there was a lot happening at the end of last year. So I think largely just not quite the same set of moving pieces. There are lots of moving pieces, that's for sure. You get Foxa back and you get Bunting back. I thought before, sorry, I got off track on how should we be viewing this team. I guess this is part of it, but yeah, I was, I was excited to see Bunting. I didn't think he played that well just in his return, but he only played 14 minutes. It's clear that whatever was ailing him is they wanted to ease him back in. I would expect to see him have some more ice time, but conversely, let's see here. It was pretty well spread out. A great example is Rantanen didn't play more than 20 minutes. I do think that's a workload thing that they're working on, but I just felt as though, I don't know, I still think it can work. I just, in one game sample size, I wasn't overly pleased with what I saw from Bunting on that top line. But that said, I do remember he got a shot within, I want to say it was in, I can't remember what point of the game it was, but remember seeing him ring one of his shots off the post. He was shooting from just inside the circle. So, and that developed quickly off of transition play. I believe Mikko had got him the puck. And just generally speaking, like, I do think they're going to be able to play well off the rush. And that's where he'll fit in with them, because he got that chance pretty easily out of nothing. And, that easily could have been a goal. So I still believe in Bunting. I've seen him play enough that I know he's going to be a key piece for Dallas, but it must be frustrating for him to get traded and then get hurt, and that'd be his meshing with the team be stunted, for lack of a better term. Now Foxa, I thought he looked great, and I think he gets almost a full. It's a minute 40 of shorthanded penalty kill time, and hey, welcome back to the team. You're out there killing penalties, and I think you can see his long reach is just really valuable. From a defensive standpoint, it does feel like Dallas values that, hence Myers, because when we get to the first goal, in fact, not Myers' best game, but what was he on the day? He's even, but I mean, I know that he was -2 to start. So anyways, let's just launch into it. It was a dreadful first period for the Stars, and given that they're playing a team that has nothing to play for, even though they have plenty of intrinsic motivation, it was a really disappointing first period. And I kind of been saying that it feels as though, well, we want to see 60-minute efforts from this team. They have a habit of not having a 60-minute game. To that end, they didn't need one today, and they still won the game. And as much as you hope to see it, I'm just not quite sure that's possible in today's NHL. I just think that the teams are too good. It's just impossible to dominate for 60 minutes from beginning to end. And so, the Maple Leafs did well to jump on Dallas. They were the better team, obviously, in the first, and Dallas looked completely shell-shocked. Defensively, they were looking a lot. Their feet weren't moving. It's just, honestly, that period definitely gives worry to playoff. Like, if this is what it's going to be like in the playoffs, like, Dallas is going to be playing in a lot of high-scoring games, which they're obviously comfortable playing in, but I don't think Dallas would prefer to play in those types of games. They want low event games. That's their style. They've given up the second fewest goals, I believe, this year, or has, at the very least, has the, second best defense overall. I think Dallas wants to avoid a 6-5 game, even though I think Razor said on the broadcast that I think 6-5 is the best version of hockey, and I would largely agree, because what an exciting game that was. So let's launch into it. The first goal, Tavares still ticking away for them. Myers has the puck on the boards, and he pries it free, and he's got it right about at the goal line next to DeSmith, and kind of tries to bunt it to Blackwell, who's sitting right there in the slot also, but it's a bad pass and really a bad decision to go out front with it. Tavares steals it and roofs it. Can happen really quickly. And given that the time and situation, Dallas having to kill the power play, just not a smart play. The boards are there. A high flip is there. I'm not sure if Myers has that in his repertoire. Haven't seen it a ton from him, but yeah, I mean, that was tough play. And I hope that was a learning. I mean, these are what these games can be for. And it's hey, just as a quick reminder, Myers, like, don't be doing this in the playoffs. Just put it up along the boards and live to, you know, live another day. So that was just tough to see. Myers has been a kind of a wild ride here with the Stars. Like I was mentioning about his reach, I think his defensive reach and his size are still going to be really valuable. But that said, I would expect some down moments. So hopefully Miro gets back and the defense core can slot into their correct ice times and positionings. But that said, I think the defensive pairs, I don't know if I could confidently tell you who those would be. I still think that it's up in the air. And I think the most recent move was putting Myers with Harley. I don't see that long term, but we'll see. I do think that Myers and Bischel together, I think that that pair is probably too slow, of one of them being a stay-at-home defenseman and one of them's got to roam. I just don't. I see them being burned for a couple on man rushes. So we'll see. Still evaluating. I don't think, just calling it like I see it. Well, Petro did have an assist. He did. I was just going to say my gut would suggest that I don't think Petro did anything to outplay Lyubushkin, but I mean, Petro was even, Lyubushkin was minus. Petro had an assist. They played the same amount of minutes. So I guess that will be for game 82 to see where they're headed there, because I don't think it's clear if Miro comes back. I don't think it's clear for sure who will be in there. Also with, Niels Lundqvist, I think if he's healthy, they want him in the top 6 in the playoffs, especially just for how quickly he can move the puck and get the puck out of the zone. So anyways, I digress. Sorry about the recap. I mean, it's probably because it's not good. It's tough to launch into an 0-3 recap. So yeah, look, it doesn't get much better for Myers. He was beat on a wraparound by, I believe that was, Lorenz. Rebound is just right there for Quillen, who gets his first of his career. And yeah, that was tough because no one really picked up Quillen driving the net either. There was a lot of watching going on in the first period. Dallas was much better. It helps when you outscore the other team 3-0 in the second. And really this, the Nylander goal was actually the best of the three, I thought, as far as quality. But, Petrovic didn't really mark him as he's cutting to the net. That was tough. That was a tough goal. And he just kind of found the loose puck and put it in, I believe, out of midair. But that said, it's Petrovic's job to make sure that no Maple Leaf gets a stick on it there. And, again, I think it'll be interesting to see how the defense pairs shake out. So look, it's 3-0 headed to the second. Probably a lot of us are thinking, well, this game doesn't mean anything, blah, blah, blah. Dallas is just packing it in. So the fact that they did come back, honestly, that was really clutch to see. It was crucial to see because I think showing that fight and a pride for a seemingly meaningless game is the type of pride you need to find when, let's say, you're getting blown out in a third period, but you still have a playoff series to go. So, hey, can you find some juice for a third period? Let the other team know you're there and send a message for the next game. I mean, Dallas did more than send a message this game, but just generally speaking, it's going to be important that, that they don't get rolled over like that very often, because if you give up an 0-3 period in any playoff series in any game, man, that's going to be so tough to come back from. I think what Dallas had going for it was just so early in the game that, and the goal obviously to start the second so quickly, and you see that can jumpstart a rally pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm not really sure what Nylander's doing on this goal by Bourque to start. I guess he's trying to deceive him and lull him into thinking that he was going to pass the puck forward. But yeah, he tries to pass it backwards and Bourque reads it, is wafting down the left wing inside the circle and beats I'm sorry, Achimov. I heard it. I need to hear it again. I need to hear another game. Achimov. I heard it, but it's not sticking with me. But anyways, he beats Bourque beats him 5-hole. And man, like, what a revelation Bourque has been. Let's just go through his goals and I'll give you a rundown and how I feel about him playing. But yeah, I mean, he gets the next one. It's tic-tac-toe play into the zone. I thought Harley's pass to Duchene at the blue line was awesome. And then he finds Robertson, who gets a shot on goal. And then again, Bourque getting the rebound. Look where he's at when he's scoring these goals. He's right near the net. And I think you're seeing I have a habit of delaying a combo, so I'm going to launch into it. I think you're seeing a confident Bourque, and I heard him after the game or saw a quote just that, he's seen the playoffs the past couple rounds and he really feels like he can be one of the important guys for this team. And yeah, I would expect him to be a major player in the playoffs. And, it feels as though he knows he belongs on this team right now. And, confidence is just sometimes all anyone needs, without sounding too sappy, like the confidence, like I don't want to really be on camera. I'm not the biggest put myself out there person, but I love the Stars and have been covering them both professionally and personally for a long time. So just kind of felt like it was the time to make it happen. So that said, I love the energy from Mavrik Bourque. I mean, you know, he is a really key piece on this team. And I think you could make an easy case that he's in, at least the top 6 or 7 forwards on the team this year. And that chemistry that he had with Duchene and Robertson on that line, they dominated. They scored all 3 goals of the second. So Robo gets his 45th right after that. That was just a great pass from Duchene down low, but that started from a Bourque pass to Duchene, who's down by the goal line, and he kind of sucks the defense into him and finds Robertson, who had a pretty, easy net to shoot at. And I mean, look, the kid had a 4-point night and a hat trick. Like, spoiler, first star for Mav, but I just love the energy. He's looking to set up his teammates and for them to develop that chemistry in such a short period of time. And to see it click like that, man, that's what you just love to see. Like, Gullet's just got to be loving that for playoff time. So it's 3-3 headed to the third, and our old friend Max Domi makes it 4-3. I had previously misspoke. I actually thought this was the best goal Toronto had all night because I really like this pass from Nyes to Nylander. I really like that pass from Nyes to Nylander, who beats a couple players and, he's getting the puck. There was I'm pretty sure a really great saucer pass. Might have been on the back end, but yeah, I mean, I wrote down 2.5 stars because I think you can kind of see he beats Wyatt along the boards. And then his pass to Nylander beats several people. So, and then obviously he's finding Domi backdoors. That kind of, with that being so early into the third, is a minute 40, that kind of felt like, maybe Dallas used all its good magic. And then it's written as Nicholas, but, obviously Jason Robertson's brother, Nick Robertson, look, a really just chance shot from Stetcher off the boards perfectly to Robertson, but it took some anticipation from Nick Robertson there. So he beat everyone to the puck and beat DeSmith short side. And I just thought that was a great hockey IQ play. I also wanted to note that just watching Nick Robertson this game, I really love watching him because you can see the similarities between him and Jason. I was noticing his skating gait seemed similar, lower, kind of choppy, and then he had that play, I want to say it was in the third period, where he had the puck on a string, keeping it away from everyone. It didn't develop in anything, but if I had a few extra stars to hand out today, I think Nick Robertson's one of the most noticeable Maple Leafs. So yeah, and then look, Dallas starts his comeback. Always helps when you can get, first off, multiple 3-goal periods is always great, but then you get a power play and White gets his 45th, and forgot how many that was on the power play. I want to say it was 27. So he continues his dominance, but Yeah, really it's just a simple play. Miko from, the half wall finds Wyatt, whose shot deflects off Riley's stick, I believe, that helps it launch up a little bit higher. So that is obviously tough to elevate in tight, and you don't want to miss the net. So Wyatt's shot would have gone on net, but the deflection certainly helped it. So, and then what was the strangest goal of the game was Huru scoring pretty maybe 4 minutes after that. Stetcher's trying to clear the puck, and he clears it right into his own net. They kept talking conspiracy theory with the Leafs trying to keep their top 5 pick. If it slipped outside the top 5, that meant it was Boston's pick. So thankful Dallas hasn't had to worry about any of those situations. So it's 5-5. Nick Robertson was stopped on a breakaway in between those the last 2 goals. So important play by DeSmith there. And look, you give up 5, it's tough, but he made the one that counted. It's 5-5, and DeSmith made the play. So if the Stars need to go to him in the playoffs, I think most of us would feel pretty confident that he would get the job done. So I want to see if I can remember the stat. And, well, no, I can't. But I know that Dallas has struggled to give him goals this year when he's playing. So they did it this game, and he got the win. But yeah, I mean, the last goal, Bourque's Hattie, just an impressive play by Duchene to tip it off Petro's shot. He tips it down to kind of put it into the crease and all that mess right there. And, it's Bourque getting to the dirty area again and pushing it in for the game winner. And man, I mean, he's got 19 on the year. He's just really shown another level here in the past month or 2 of the season. And I'm just really geeked up for him and the team, because if you got guys like that are delivering, that aren't your superstar players, that's how you win Stanley Cups. Tampa Bay comes to mind with all of those. I mean, they had all of these top end players, but they also had all of these depth players that delivered in big moments. So yeah, that Dallas gets it 6-5, and 3 stars. I'll go Bourque. I'm going to say Duchene, and then Nylander had 3 points, but I really thought that his giveaway was really bad to Bourque. So I don't know. I'm gonna say Robertson, even though he, Nyes did have 2 great assists, but I'm gonna go Nick Robertson just because I thought he was the most noticeable. When the team was sagging, I thought it was his play that kept him going. So we'll go there. I don't want to put too much thought into the opposing players, but anyways, Dallas gets a 6-5 and game 81. They're at 110 points. Just for comparison, Colorado's got 117. So we'll let them have the President's Trophy curse. Yeah. One more game to go. Dallas, they have a Buffalo team that is motivated. This is going to be on TNT. So tomorrow should be fun. But Buffalo is currently battling with Tampa and Montreal for the top seed out east, which is obviously going to make a big difference as to how the wild card standings play out. If it was to stand the way it is right now, Buffalo would play Ottawa, but there's a lot that can happen, and it seems like both Buffalo's motivated to get home ice throughout their playoffs, and should be a great game. I would expect Dallas to sit a few players. I kind of was a little surprised they didn't sit the players at this game, but I don't think you want players taken off an entire week. So be kind of curious to see if they sit anyone this last game, and be curious to see who makes it in from an injury standpoint. If Robe can make it in for the last game, and there's going to be some tough decisions to be made on the forward group for the playoffs. So Buffalo, I love Tage Thompson. He's got 40 goals on the year. And as much as I dislike Tuck from his Vegas days, he's just had an incredible season, 32 goals. He's one of their best goal scorers. And, I mentioned Darlene before, 74 points on the year and one of the best offensive defensemen in the league. He can really make it happen. So Stars are going to have their hands full, and it should be a great conclusion to the regular season. I'm gearing up for the playoffs. We'll do a pod in between the Buffalo game and the Minnesota game and try and do a little bit of a preview. So Stars get it 6-5 over the Maple Leafs, trailed 3-0 and 5-3, come back and win 6-5. At Patrick Hayslip on Twitter. Dallas Hockey Hangout on at gmail.com. If you have anything you want to talk about, any questions, please reach out. Talk to you guys soon.